My home the Lord has exalted. It teaches me to prosper. I have come with stories to tell. I have come with testimonies. Take a look at me, you can see it. Say you can call me testimonies. It is my time and it is my season. All around me testimonies. And because the Lord is my shepherd, I shall never want every day. Testimonies. Everywhere. Testimonies. See the word is working, and I'm so full of praise. In the morning. Testimonies.
We keep reading and watching news of different stories, including high levels of unemployment. Today I have a special guest. Her name is Favor, and she shares how she managed to get a job after 5 years of unemployment. Join me after this. Welcome back, Theos TV viewers. You are watching Testimonies today. I am your host, Wiseman Success, and as I promised you, I have a very special guest. Her name is Favor. Favor, you are welcome to the show.
Thank you, Wiseman. I'm honored to be on the show.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Favor. I'm the firstborn in a family of 5. I did my primary education at Satyasai School. I did my secondary at Temweni High School. Then I further went on to do my university bachelor's degree in business administration at Zambia at ZICAS. That's where I did it from.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your educational background from the time you graduated from university.
Well, as you know, when you complete your university, you expect to get a job. You expect to get into employment and those kind of things. So what I expected was not what I received. I completed my business administration in 20, and then up until 2018 I was jobless.
So how did this affect you and your family, financially, socially, and how did this affect your family?
Well, it's really affected us, and especially me, because being a firstborn, you're supposed to be the one that should help your parents and help your siblings. Sometimes your parents will need something and you feel bad, you're supposed to be in that position of helping them, but it was very difficult. Those 5 years, they were so hard.
Can you recall some of the times maybe your parents went out of the way just to ensure that you had a job?
They really did, because I remember my dad going as far as having to try and get me a job at his workplace. Gurok, my dad works for Gurok, he's a lab technician. He tried all that. My mom tried to take me to school again to go and do teaching methodology, hoping that I'll get a job as a teacher, but all that did not work. I actually went to Luansha for teaching methodology. 2 weeks into school, I couldn't do it because I knew that was not my field.
Are there times that you felt like giving up?
Countless number of times. I felt like giving up. I just said, okay, I think I got to a level where I stopped looking for a job. I stopped looking for a job. I just said, okay, a job, I've stopped looking for it. I tried business. I tried different types of things. I tried doing the normal business of selling women's clothes, men's clothes, and it just didn't work. It just did not work. Well, it was a bit challenging, but I would say I still held on to God. I still believed, when I would hear testimonies of people saying I was jobless for 5 years, for 6 years, but that would encourage me. I would hear maybe sometimes in church, our spiritual father would pray for someone who has been jobless for some time. I would get encouraged. I always believed my job will eventually come.
So, Favor, you were explaining a little bit on how this issue affected your family, but how did it affect the people that you met while in university, seeing that they were receiving jobs? I'm sure with social media they were posting on how life is moving so well, and how did this affect you?
It really did, because I couldn't, you know, those relationships you would have after school, you would mingle with people that you were at school with. I would always shun away from friends, people that I was in school with, because really they would ask you questions. So what are you doing now? How is work and all that? And you telling them you don't have a job, that didn't go well with me.
After 5 years of unemployment, our story changed just by encountering a man from God, Prophet Hermes Elisha. Continue with the testimony right after this. Welcome back, Theos TV viewers. You are watching Testimonies today. So, Favor, we would love to find out, how do you relate your job to a prophet?
The reason why I'm relating my job with meeting a prophet, because it was only after the prophet spoke in my life and released the blessing on me. That's the time I got a job. On that day, it was actually a Sunday. A service was going on. The man I'm honored to call my spiritual father, Prophet Hermes Elisha, he called out my name and he said I should come forward. When I got to the front, he prayed for me. So he called me out and he prayed for me. He actually told me, I can remember the words that he said. He said, you will never suffer shame anymore. And you know, 5 years, it may look like a short period of time for somebody that got a job immediately they came out of school. But for somebody that has gone through that 5 years, that is 12. He told me, he prayed for me. He told me, you will never suffer shame. Let my God be your God. Those were the words that he said to me. And he said, today is a remarkable day in heaven because God has decided to bless you. So when he told me that, I was expectant. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was very expectant. I kept on praying and holding on to the word. So when I left service that day, I was excited in my spirit. I was very excited and expectant to see what the God of my spiritual father was going to do in my life.
You waited for this thing for 5 years.
I waited for it for 5 long years.
What transpired after?
So immediately after that day, I kept praying. Then approximately 5 days after, I received a call from someone who asked me, what are you doing right now with regards to working? So I said, currently I'm not working. I don't have a job. So he told me, he said I should give him a few days. He was going to call me back and tell me what to do. So about a week later, he called me and he again told me somebody was going to call me. Then a few hours later, I received a call from the director of Louisville and Advertise magazine, Mr. Leon Iman. He called me and he asked me to send him my documents, like my CV and all that. So when I sent them to him, he didn't respond to me immediately. It took about a week. And in that 1 week, I was thinking, but I've sent my documents and he said he's going to respond immediately. But what's happening? You know, I was having mixed feelings, mixed thoughts. So a week later, he called me on a Monday. He called me and he asked me, can you be in Lusaka tomorrow? So I said, okay, let me organize myself. I'll be in Lusaka tomorrow. So the following day, I started off very early in the morning. I went to Lusaka. And when I got there, actually on the phone, I forgot to mention, on the phone, he told me I was going for an interview in Lusaka. So when I got there, I was prepared for a very difficult interview. I was prepared to be asked all sorts of questions. But when I got there, I was welcomed by his PA, and she asked me to sit in his office. A few minutes later, he came in, and he did not even interview me. I just sat in his office, and before I knew it, his PA brought my contract, and I signed the contract. So when I was given my contract, in my mind, I didn't know what to expect in relation with the salary. I didn't know what to expect. So he told me, he said, this is the salary we're going to start with you from. And when I looked at my contract and I looked at the salary was 5,000 kwacha fixed. And from there, there's commission regarding how many days you work in a week, regarding how many days you work in a week. And all these things are exclusive of my transport allowance. Transport allowance is separate. They load my phone with airtime every week, and they buy me data every 2 weeks. Well, my advice to them would be to always trust in God. God is not man. God is never late. He's never early, but he's always on time. The problem that we face is we want God to be in our program. When we want something, that is when we should receive it. But I would advise them to always wait on God and just believe God. God does miracles. I would also advise the viewers out there to come to Zoe Ministries, to come and see the God of Prophet Hermes Elisha, to come and see what he is able to do. He's the God who does impossibilities, the God that can change your story from a nobody to becoming a somebody, to being somebody that will be valued in the society. I would want people out there, if you is very bad, you have a situation that you are stuck, you don't know where to go from here, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to move from this point to the next point, I advise you to come and meet with the God of my Father. And I can guarantee you, your life will never be the same again. I have tasted, I have seen, I know what the God of my Father can do. And I just want to advise the viewers out there, come to Zoe, come and see what God is going to do for you.
So thank you so very much, Favor, for your testimony, and we believe that this is just the beginning of something big, and we believe that God is taking you heights. I'm sure you are going to be back on the scene to testify of more of what the God of our Father, Prophet Hermes Elisha, will be doing, which has already started doing in your life and will continue doing in your life. So thank you so very much, viewers, for watching testimonies today, and I believe that you are going to testify as well. You might be watching us and you are saying, I have the same problem. Maybe you've been jobless, maybe you've been fired, maybe you are trying to push in terms of business. I believe that the same God who was able to do it in a life is going to do it in your life as well. So there's a number right now on the screen. Make sure that you send us your testimony. Remember that distance is never a barrier in the spirit. So the same God that was able to do it in a life, I can guarantee you that He's going to do it for you. So we are waiting for your testimonies, and we are going to read your testimonies. And remember, God is still in the business of doing miracles even today. We'll see you. Shalom.